All videos and educational content in this video have been taken from the internet, books, or any available documentary evidence for the public domain. Hello friends, and I warmly welcome you to the channel. I hope you all are doing well. In our country, the police are often criticized for not doing their job properly. Even when they do, it is said that they work at a very slow pace. Because of this, many criminals escape the grasp of the law. However, there are also cases where the police perform their duties with complete honesty and efficiency. Today's story is one such case where there were neither witnesses nor evidence. Yet, despite these challenges, the police meticulously connected every clue and solved the case within just 3 days. This case is a remarkable example of police investigation. This story is from the Amroha district of Uttar Pradesh. In Amroha, there is a village called Bwankedi where a family once lived. The head of this family was Master Shaukat Ali. His family consisted of 7 other members, including his wife Hashmi, elder son Anis, daughter-in-law Anjum, their 10-month-old son Arsh, younger son Rashid, only daughter Shabnam, and a niece Rabia who also lived with them. In total, there were 8 people in the household. The family was well educated and financially stable. Master Shaukat Ali was a lecturer in a government college. His elder son, Anis, worked as an engineer in a company in Jalandhar. The younger son, Rashid, was pursuing a B.Tech degree from Meerut. His daughter, Shabnam, had completed a double M.A. and was teaching as a Shiksha Mitra assistant teacher in a primary school. In short, the family lacked nothing and was highly respected in the village of Bwankedi. However, one night, something happened that not only devastated the family, but also shook the entire village to its core. It was the late night of April 14, 2008, around 2:15 a.m. Suddenly, loud cries and screams came from the balcony of the house. Hearing Shabnam's cries, the neighbors rushed to the house. However, when they tried to enter, they found the door locked from the inside. Shabnam was still crying and screaming loudly. The neighbors asked her to open the door. She came downstairs, unlocked the main gate, and quickly went back upstairs. As the neighbors followed her to the first floor, the sight before them left them horrified. 7 dead bodies lay there, and blood was splattered all over the house. Shabnam's parents, both brothers, sister-in-law, niece, and 10-month-old nephew, her entire family, were lying lifeless on their beds. Shabnam sat beside the bodies, weeping uncontrollably. When the neighbors asked what had happened, she said that robbers had entered the house and killed everyone. Meanwhile, one of the neighbors called the police. Within minutes, the police from Hasanpur police station arrived at the scene. As soon as the officers saw the dead bodies, they were shocked. The crime scene was horrifying. Except for the 10-month-old child, all the victims had their throats slit with a sharp weapon. The police immediately sealed the crime scene and informed their senior officers. By morning, the news had spread like wildfire across the region. Soon, a large crowd gathered inside and outside Shabnam's house. Whoever heard about the incident was shaken to the core. Seeing Shabnam crying over the bodies, even the bystanders couldn't hold back their tears. People sympathized with Shabnam while simultaneously expressing anger towards the police and administration. They raised slogans against law enforcement, questioning how 7 people could be murdered inside their home so brutally. The outrage grew so intense that the administration suspended the Hasanpur police station in charge immediately. The case was then handed over to Inspector R.P. Gupta, the SHO of Amroha police station, as he was known for his impeccable reputation. On the morning of April 15, 2008, Inspector R.P. Gupta arrived at the crime scene. As he examined the bodies covered with sheets, something struck his mind. However, without jumping to conclusions, he ordered a post-mortem of all the victims. The only eyewitness to the crime was Shabnam. Despite her devastated state, the police needed to question her. Understandably, someone who had lost their entire family in a single night would be in immense distress. Still, the police had no other choice but to talk to her. Shabnam, between sobs, told the officers that the night was warm, so she had gone upstairs to sleep on the terrace. Around midnight, some intruders climbed up to the first floor through the back wall and killed everyone before escaping through the main gate. The police recorded Shabnam's initial statement and also took statements from the neighbors. The investigation was now in full swing. However, Inspector R.P. Gupta had a nagging suspicion about something. One more thing stood out from the statement. The neighbors said that, when they arrived at night, the main gate of the house was locked from the inside. However, Shabnam stated in her statement that all the killers fled through the main gate. Now the question was, who locked the gate from the inside? After this, the police reached the back wall, from where Shabnam claimed that the thieves had entered the house. That back wall was about 14 feet high from the ground. It was impossible for anyone to climb it without a ladder. But the police found neither a ladder there nor any marks indicating that a ladder had been used. Additionally, Shabnam had stated that due to the extreme heat that night, she went to sleep on the terrace. However, her house had both a fan and an inverter. When the police went to inspect the terrace, they found no bedding or mattress there. Meanwhile, the post-mortem report arrived. It revealed that none of the victims had resisted before dying. The most shocking part of the report was that, except for the 10-month-old baby, all 6 victims had been given some kind of sedative before their deaths. Their stomachs were swollen, and the inner lining of their stomachs had turned red. However, the 10-month-old baby had not been given any sedative. His death was caused by suffocation. After analyzing the post-mortem report, Inspector R.P. Gupta's suspicion regarding the neatly placed sheets over the bodies was confirmed. All the sheets were perfectly arranged over the bodies, which clearly indicated that none of the victims had struggled before dying. Normally, a person fights for their life, leaving scratch marks on their body, and the sheets would have been in disarray. But in this case, everything was in perfect order, proving that the victims were unconscious before they were killed. Another major question arose. If everyone in the house had been given a sedative, how did Shabnam remain unaffected? The police decided to reinvestigate the entire house. During this search, they found an empty strip of sedative pills. It was now evident that Shiv's statement did not align with the actual circumstances. The police found it suspicious and believed that only Shabnam had the answers to their questions. However, interrogating Shabnam was not easy. The police couldn't be harsh with her, as any aggressive action might have worsened the situation. They tried speaking to Shabnam a couple of times, but the people around her protested, so the police decided to wait for the situation to calm down. Meanwhile, due to excessive stress, Shabnam's health deteriorated, and a doctor was called for a checkup. During the examination, a shocking revelation came to light. Shabnam was pregnant. She was carrying a 7-week-old baby. When the police learned about Shabnam's pregnancy, more questions started emerging in their minds. On the other hand, the news of this brutal murder had reached Lucknow, the capital of Uttar Pradesh. At that time, Uttar Pradesh's chief minister was Mayawati. Upon learning about the case, she personally visited Bwankedi village on April 17, 2008, 3 days after the incident. She went to Shabnam's house, consoled her, and promised a swift resolution to the case. Before her visit, an important decision had been made. The chief minister had proposed giving Shabnam 5,000 ses as financial aid, considering she was now alone in her family. However, when Inspector R.P. Gupta learned about this, he urged the authorities to hold off on the compensation, as he strongly suspected Shabnam's involvement in the crime. He insisted that they were very close to solving the case. Taking his advice, the decision to provide financial aid was postponed until the case was fully resolved. As R.P. Gupta had predicted, the case took a major turn the very next day, April 18, 2008. That day, the Uttar Pradesh police received a crucial tip-off from an informant. The informant told the police that if they arrested a man named Saleem, who lived in the same village, the entire case would unravel by itself. Acting swiftly, the police began searching for Saleem, but he was nowhere to be found in the village. After extensive inquiries, the police tracked him down to Gajraula, about 14 kilometers away. On the afternoon of April 18, 2008, the police arrested Saleem from Gajraula and brought him to the station. At first, Saleem denied everything, However, when Inspector R.P. Gupta questioned him using his investigative tactics, Saleem eventually broke down and confessed. With this breakthrough, the police immediately turned their focus back to Shabnam. She was taken in for questioning again, but she kept repeating the same old story. The police then brought Saleem in front of Shabnam. The moment she saw Saleem, she realized that there was no use in hiding the truth anymore. Finally, she confessed to the crime and narrated the entire sequence of events. She revealed that about a year before the incident, she had met Saleem, who also lived in Bawankhedi village. Over time, they became friends, and gradually, friendship turned into love, and then both of them decided to get married. However, when they informed their families about their decision, Shabnam's family outright refused. The reason was the vast difference between Shabnam and Saleem. Shabnam was highly educated, holding an MA in 2 subjects, whereas Saleem had only studied up to the 8th grade. On one hand, Shabnam's family was well off and highly respected in the village, while on the other, Saleem was just a small-time carpenter. Due to this stark contrast, Shabnam's family did not agree to their relationship. Despite her family's objections, Shabnam continued her relationship with Saleem, and their love only grew stronger. During this time, Shabnam discovered that she was pregnant. She made several attempts to convince her family again, but they remained firm in their refusal. Determined to marry Saleem at any cost, Shabnam and Saleem had the option to elope and start a new life together. However, they feared that running away would bring them endless struggles, possibly even starvation. Caught in this dilemma, Shabnam conceived a sinister plan, eliminating her entire family. This way, no one could stop her, and she would inherit all the property. She discussed this with Saleem and convinced him to be a part of her plan. However, a major challenge lay ahead. They couldn't overpower 6 family members alone, so they decided to drug them first. On April 14, 2008, as per the plan, Saleem traveled approximately 38 kilometers from his village, Bwankedi, to Park Bara to buy sleeping pills. He avoided purchasing them locally to prevent suspicion, as everyone in the village knew each other. He then handed the pills over to Shabnam. That same day, Shabnam's brothers, Anis and Rashid, who had come home on leave, were about to leave again, one for Jalandhar and the other for Meerut. When Shabnam learned about this, she realized her plan would fail if they left, because if even one family member survived, she would lose her claim to the property. She quickly called them back under the pretense of an urgent family matter, convincing them to stay another day. Then came the night of April 14th, 2008, a night that not only shook Bawankhedi village, but also the entire district of Amroha. After dinner, Shabnam prepared tea for everyone, mixing the sleeping pills into it. The only one spared was her 10-month-old nephew, as an infant wouldn't drink tea. Throughout this time, she was in constant contact with Saleem over the phone. As soon as everyone fell unconscious, she called Saleem and said, "Now you can come." Saleem arrived at midnight, carrying an axe. One by one, Shabnam held her parents, brothers, sister-in-law, and cousin's sister by their heads, and Saleem mercilessly hacked them to death. The last remaining was Shabnam's 10-month-old nephew. While he wasn't attacked with the axe, Saleem, on Shabnam's insistence, strangled the baby until he stopped breathing. After carrying out the massacre, they cleaned themselves up. Shabnam sent Saleem away, locked the house from inside, and went back upstairs to change her blood-stained clothes. However, as she was changing, she heard a faint cry. To her horror, she discovered that her nephew was still alive. He had only fainted from the strangulation. Panicked, she called Saleem and urged him to return and finish the job, but Saleem refused. He told her, "Whatever needs to be done, do it yourself." Left with no choice, Shabnam took matters into her own hands and strangled the helpless infant to death. Once she was sure that no one in her family was left alive, she went to her balcony around 2:15 a.m. and began wailing loudly, pretending to grieve. What happened next, as I mentioned before, is history. Following their confession on April 19, 2008, the Uttar Pradesh police arrested Shabnam and Saleem. After the confessions, the police arrested both individuals. However, the most crucial task for the police was to gather evidence. Any statement given before the police is not admissible in court, so they first recovered the axe from the pond based on Saleem's information. They also seized Saleem's mobile phone and his blood-stained clothes as evidence. From Shabnam's house, the police recovered her mobile phone and clothes, which had blood stains on them. Additionally, a second SIM card was found at her house. Shabnam and Saleem used a separate phone number for their conversations, which no one else knew about. When the police found the second SIM card at Shabnam's house, they retrieved its call details. The records showed that on the night of April 14, 2008, the two were constantly in touch from 7:30 p.m. until 2:09 a.m. They had called each other 52 times, except for a gap of 131 minutes between 1:09 a.m. and 1:40 a.m., the exact time when they were committing the crime. The call records became crucial evidence in the case. After gathering all statements and evidence, the police presented Shabnam and Saleem in court. The district court, after hearing all the evidence, ruled it as a rarest of the rare case in July 2010 and sentenced both to death. The court also praised the police for solving the case, something rarely seen. 8 months after the crime, in December 2008, Shabnam gave birth to a son in jail as she was pregnant at the time of her arrest. According to prison laws, a child can stay with their mother in jail only until they turn 6. In 2015, when the child was older than 6, an adoption notice was published in the newspaper. A man named Usman Saifi came forward, expressing his willingness to adopt the child. Usman had studied at the same college as Shabnam and was 2 years junior to her. Shabnam had helped him financially and academically, even paying his fees once when he couldn't afford it. Usman considered Shabnam as his elder sister. When he learned that her son needed a guardian, he stepped forward. After legal formalities, Usman took custody of the child. Meanwhile, Shabnam and Saleem exhausted all legal options. They appealed the district court's decision in the Allahabad High Court, but in April 2013, the High Court upheld the lower court's ruling. They then approached the Supreme Court, which also confirmed the death sentence in May 2015. In August 2016, Shabnam filed a mercy petition before the President of India, Pranab Mukherjee, but it was rejected. In 2021, when the prison authorities initiated the process to issue her death warrant, the case resurfaced in public discussions. However, Shabnam filed another mercy petition delaying the execution. Blinded by love, Shabnam brutally murdered her own family. Yet, she neither got the love she desired nor the property she sought. More than 14 years have passed since this horrifying crime, but the villagers of Bwankedi still shudder at the memory of that fateful night. So much so that no one in the village has named their daughter Shabnam since, and those who had the name changed it. Currently, Shabnam is imprisoned in Bareilly jail, while Saleem is in Naini Central Jail in Prayagraj. Both are awaiting execution. They still have some legal options left, but if Shabnam is hanged, she will become the first woman in independent India to be executed, as no female convict has been hanged since 1947. It remains to be seen how much longer this case will drag on. This was the story of Shabnam. I hope you found this information insightful. If you'd like to support this channel, you can do so through Super Thanks. I'll see you in the next story. Until then, take care. Thank you very much.